advocacy, ensuring that we address the multifaceted challenges of nutrition and health. This we achieve through our interdisciplinary research work groups like food environment, obesity and non-communicable diseases, pediatric nutrition, nutrition methods and technology, nutrition care process implementation, and lots more. And professional development programs just as our Young African Nutrition Scholars, the YANS, Learning and Expert Exchange Hub, Emerging Leaders Research Grant Award, etc. Our base is in Nigeria, where we have a broad team of experts across the various geopolitical zones and in diverse areas of nutrition and development. We are also expanding to other African countries. Our YouTube channel is an extension of our commitment to knowledge sharing, capacity building, and community engagement. Here you will find a wealth of resources designed to empower researchers, nutritionists, and anyone interested in nutrition and public health. One of our flagship series is the Learning Hub. This webinar series is aimed at equipping researchers with essential tools to enhance their research competence. Whether you're looking to master statistical software like SPSS, NVivo, or learn nutrition-specific tools, our Learning Hub series has got you covered. We bring experts to guide you through practical hands-on sessions, ensuring that you not only understand the tools but also know how to apply them effectively in your work. Another exciting series we offer is Expert Exchange. This series highlights the work of nutritionists across different sectors through engaging interviews and discussions. You'll gain insights into their experiences, challenges, and successes. It's a fantastic opportunity to learn from the best in the field and be inspired by their journeys. Each episode is designed to provide you with valuable knowledge and practical advice that you can apply in your own professional practice. Aside from our Learning Hub series, our Expert Exchange series, you can expect to see other content which can include excerpts from speaking engagements, interview sessions to highlight the work that our members do in NDDI, and lots more. Rest assured that we are committed to providing you with value through our YouTube page, so expect to see top-notch content. We are excited to have you join our community. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Leave a comment, let us know what topics you would like us to cover in our webinar series for future videos. Your feedback is invaluable to us. Follow us on our social media platforms at NDDI Africa for more updates and join our mission to promote healthy diet and improve public health. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to embarking on this journey. It's a nutrition drive for healthy diet initiative, NDDI official YouTube channel. My name is Ujronara, Research Associate and Coordinator of the Learning and Expert Exchange Hub at NDDI, and today I'm excited to introduce you to our mission, our work, and what you can expect from our channel. At NDDI, our mission has two key facets. First, we are committed to developing data-driven, evidence-based solutions and recommendations to inform nutrition policies and actions that foster healthy diets and improve public health outcomes. Secondly, we are dedicated to strengthening the research competencies of emerging nutrition scientists in Africa. We envision an Africa where high-quality evidence is readily available and effectively utilized to tackle nutrition challenges. Founded with a commitment to evidence-based research and community engagement, NDDI has been at the forefront of nutrition advocacy and policy development. We collaborate with stakeholders across sectors to coordinate and implement high-level nutrition research programs and initiatives. Our work spans across research, education, and policy advocacy, ensuring that we address the multifaceted challenges of nutrition and health. This we achieve through our interdisciplinary research work groups like food environment, obesity and non-communicable diseases, pediatric nutrition, nutrition methods and technology, nutrition care process implementation, and lots more. And professional development programs just as our Young African Nutrition Scholars, the YANS, Learning and Expert Exchange Hub, Emerging Leaders Research Grant Award, etc. Our base is in Nigeria, where we have a broad team of experts across the various geopolitical zones and in diverse areas of nutrition and development. We are also expanding to other African countries. Our YouTube channel is an extension of our commitment to knowledge sharing, capacity building, and community engagement. Here you will find a wealth of resources designed to empower researchers, nutritionists, and anyone interested in nutrition and public health. One of our flagship series is the Learning Hub. This webinar series is aimed at equipping researchers with essential tools to enhance their research competence. Whether you're looking to master statistical software like SPSS, NVivo, or learn nutrition-specific tools, our Learning Hub series has got you covered. We bring experts to guide you through practical hands-on sessions, ensuring that you not only understand the tools, but also know how to apply them effectively in your work. Another exciting series we offer is Expert Exchange. This series highlights the work of nutritionists across different sectors through engaging interviews and discussions. You'll gain insights into their experiences, challenges, and successes. It's a fantastic opportunity to learn from the best in the field and be inspired by their journeys. Each episode is designed to provide you with valuable knowledge and practical advice that you can apply in your own professional practice. Aside from our Learning Hub series, our Expert Exchange series, you can expect to see other content which can include excerpts from speaking engagement, interview sessions, to highlight the work that our members do in NDDI and lots more. Rest assured that we are committed to providing you with value through our YouTube page. So expect to see top-notch content. We are excited to have you join our community. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Leave a comment, let us know what topics you would like us to cover in our webinar series for future videos. Your feedback is invaluable to us. Follow us on our social media platforms at NDDI Africa for more updates and join our mission to promote healthy diet and improve public health. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to embarking on this journey with you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to... Hi, everyone. Welcome back today to our day 2 of our webinar on leveraging secondary data to elevate the quality of scholarly outputs and nutrition research. My name is Chinaza Precious Uche, the coordinator of Emerging Nutrition Scientists Award at NDDI. Today, it may interest you to know that Dr. Olutayo Adeyemi, an adjunct professor of nutrition at the University of Ibadan, will lead us through mastering the practical applications of secondary data source in nutrition research using the DHS and the LSMS. At this point, I wouldn't want to waste our time further. I'll be handing over to our able facilitator, Dr. Olutayo Adeyemi. Over to you, ma.
Okay, so good evening again, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. Yeah, so today we have a hands-on session. What that means is that I hope you have your computers or your devices that you're going to navigate, because I don't have a lot of slides. What I'll be doing is literally walking you through how to download the data, how to check what data means, and then how to start your analysis, like just the basics, so that you are confident, at least you know where to start from. So yes, with a show of hands, how many people are in front of a device where they can actually, how do you say, they can navigate with me. I'm trying to look for, so I see two people. Four people, five. So I need to know so that I will know how to tailor this session, although it won't be as useful if people don't have devices. I'm waiting to see 10 people. 7, 8. Okay, so let's proceed. So I'll show you a few slides and then I'll move straight to working with downloading data, like how to navigate basically. So here's my share. What's the second? I'm still looking for share. I want to share my entire screen. Share screen. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, we'll be looking at a practical application of secondary data sources in nutrition research. And yes, the two that I will focus on today are the DHS and the LSMS, but you can apply the same principles to other data sets. So I hope to spend maybe about 45 minutes on each, and then we'll have time for questions as we proceed. So by the end of this session, I hope that you'll be able to create a data access account with DHS and World Bank Microdata. That's where you download the LSMS from. Mix, I don't think we'll have time to go through Mix, but you can do that by yourself. That you'll be able to download data sets and the documentation you need to be able to analyze the data sets. And then that you'll be able to identify the variables relevant to a nutrition research question so that you can start to analyze the data. As we had said yesterday, I won't be going through how to do data analysis. I expect that you have the basic statistics questions to do this. And just to reiterate, when we are doing secondary data analysis, what it means is that somebody has collected data, the person has entered the data online or in a, like the data is available, they've compiled the data sets, and then essentially you download the data sets and you want to use it to answer your research questions, to look at the situation of the population on different things. You will not find any survey reports where they are doing regressions or trying to check the association between one thing or the other. Survey reports just give you the percentages by various population groups. And so it is your role as a researcher to access that data and use it to answer specific research questions. Now, to just go over a few tips for successful secondary data research. First of all, I said it yesterday, read the data set documentation before analysis. Somebody cannot give you data sets. You don't know anything about the data sets. You don't know how they collected data. You don't know the questions they asked, and then you just enter the data and you start analyzing. First of all, the chances are high that you do rubbish research. Secondly, the chances are high that you make a lot of mistakes and you waste your time. The other thing is that align analysis with sampling design. Most of these surveys, they have weights. If you don't apply the weights, okay, so let me explain a bit about sampling weights. It's like this. Again, I'll use Nigeria as an example because that's the place I'm most familiar with. So Nigeria has many different parts. If you go to Lagos and Kano now, the population is, let's just say, around 20 million each. You go to some other states, the population is around 6 million, 7 million. What this means is that if you take a sample from Lagos and Kano, and you take a sample maybe from somewhere like Kebbi or Niger, you sampled one person in Niger, you sampled one each one in Niger. That person is representing, so let's say in Niger, you sampled a population of 7 million. In Lagos and Kano, let's say you sampled 1,000 people. The 1,000 people, they are representing 20 million. You can see that not the same. 600 representing 7 million and 1,000 representing 20 million is not the same. But these sampling weights, they are calculated to adjust for the probability of the 1,000 people that were selected in, let's say, Kano and Lagos, and the 600 people that were selected in Niger, so that the fraction of the Nigerian population that they account for, the structure of the population from which they were drawn. So for instance, now, maybe there's a situation in Niger now that is affecting 3 million people, but it's a very serious situation. If you don't adjust for sampling weights, you can have a situation, it is very, very serious, but it's affecting just a few people. But by the time you add it to the country average, if you don't apply sampling weights, it will draw very bad in the country. Yes, it is bad in the locations where people are experiencing them, but it is not the entire country that is experiencing it. To avoid you being misled to think, this thing is affecting maybe affecting the entire country averagely, instead of not affecting some people at all and affecting some people severely, you have to apply the weights so that it will adjust for the population structure. It will adjust for how the sample was selected. And the way you adjust for weights depend on the sampling design, which is why you have to read the documentation, know which sample design was used, know what kind of weights were generated. And this is why I said, you're a nutritionist. You don't think that you will know all of these things. Work with a statistician or somebody who has done the analysis before with a statistician that now understands how to use weights for various kinds of analysis. Oh, it's there. That's the next point. Collaborate with statisticians or mentors. If you want to do successful research, whether primary or secondary, in this case, we're talking about secondary, collaborate with statisticians or mentors. Then another one is focus on clear policy relevant questions. The reason why we say clear policy relevance is that if you are using a large data set, a representative data set, the idea is that you want to make inferences that are generalizable to the entire population you are looking at, whether it's at state level or zonal level or district level or country level. If you are going that far, make sure that the data that you are using, the research question, is something that will be useful for improving the situation. It's relevant for policy, it's relevant for programs. Don't just ask research questions. I'm a researcher at heart. Because I'm a researcher at heart, there are some questions that you are interested in answering. You know that it's not the policy relevant. You're just curious that, hey, if I check this thing and I check this thing, what will I find? Yes, it's nice to do those kinds of research. But if you want your secondary data to be successful, you want to have the kind that will increase your scholarly output, that good journals will see and accept it. It has to be policy relevant. It has to be something that will address the main challenges that are facing public health currently. Then another one is use transparent, replicable methods. As you are analyzing, please and please make sure you are saving. If you are using something like SPSS, if you don't know how to do SPSS in the prompt window where you type commands, please save your output so that you can go back and see what you did. If somebody asks you, how did you generate this? How did you come up with this? What recode did you use? You will have a way to trace what you did. If you're using something like R or Stata, and Stata is the software I'm most familiar with, make sure you have a code book or for Stata, a do file where you are saving the commands as you are running them, or you are typing out the syntax before you even run them. Either way, just make sure that you have everything documented. You can say, this was how I generated, this was how I defined exclusive breastfeeding, and this was how I generated the indicator. And then when you want to publish, make sure that you cite appropriately. Okay, so now let's start. And we're starting with DHS. LSMS, it's not like it's easier to navigate, but I think a lot of people may be more familiar with DHS. So let's start with DHS. And so we'll go to the DHS web page. Wait, I don't want this my window that has many. Okay, so this is the DHS homepage. And there's, how do you say? There's a page that talks about using data sets for analysis. Let me go to countries. I want to go to, let me start from, I'm using Nigeria because it's the one I'm most comfortable with. But in this case, I'm just looking for a page. Why did I save the page? But I want to navigate to that page. Okay, yes. Under data, using data sets for analysis. So, in fact, let me show you other things under data. You see, using data sets for analysis, there's using data sets for analysis, there's guide to DHS statistics, there's a place for downloading data sets. There's this DHS user forum. User forum is a place where people have gone in the past to ask questions. I'm not sure if it's still being actively maintained now that there's no USAID funding, but you can go there. Many of the questions you may have, other people have asked in the past. You can see the various answers that people gave about how they navigate various challenges. So it's a very, I can just, let me say, opening. So you see how to post a question. There's enter user forum. You see, it says this forum is to discuss DHS indicators, survey design, and data set use. See, you can see discussion on specific topics, things. So we are doing nutrition. Planet is you can use. There's this guide to DHS statistics. So, okay. Now let me say that every day, so the DHS has been around for over 40 years and it's conducted every 5 years. Now, countries have to agree or sign up to say, yes, we want to conduct a DHS. And so the organization ICF International that's do the DHS, they have this cycle. The cycle is 5 years. And so within the 5 years, all the countries that have indicated that they want to do a DHS within that cycle, they will do it using a similar questionnaire. And they call a cycle a round. So DHS 8, that's the DHS round 8, I think ended this year, yes. So they were going to start DHS round 9 in 2026, if I'm not mistaken, 2026 or 2027. And so early this year, they had already started asking that if you have changes you want to make, the questionnaire we use for DHS 8, is there anything you want to remove? Is there anything you want to add based on the different modules? So for every round, they do this. So if you won't have any change you want to make to DHS questionnaire, you have this opportunity once in 5 years to make the change. So early this year, they were taking those comments, but then the funding, USAID funding stopped, and we don't know. They're still working out how it will go now. Now they're still doing and supporting countries with funding from different donors, not just one donor like with USAID. And we don't know yet if they'll still be taking this universal comments to the questionnaire. But anyway, the reason why I brought this up is that, so for when you are doing analysis, make sure that the documentation you are looking at aligns with the round of data you want to analyze. You see, now when I came to DHS, Guide to DHS Statistics, it's showing Guide to DHS Statistics, DHS 8. Now, for Nigeria, DHS 8 was conducted in 2024. There are some countries that DHS 8 was conducted in 2022. There are some countries it's 2025, some countries 2021. When you go to a data set, okay, so it's here. It says select surveys for analysis. That's the first step to using data sets. You can see a list of survey by country. You can see type of survey. DHS does the demographic and health survey. That's what we are focusing on. I mean, but they also do malaria indicator survey. They do service provision assessments, that's assessment of health facilities, and some other types of surveys. There's full DHS. There's also a mini DHS survey where they just ask a few modules. So this is why you say type of survey, year, search by survey characteristics. For instance, surveys that included HIV testing and all of that. Then another step, you see, even they tell you, review the questionnaire. If you are going to review the questionnaire, the questionnaire for DHS, it's not just DHS, it's LMSMS is different. Mix is the same as DHS in the sense that once you download the final survey reports, in the annex, you see the questionnaire that was used to collect the data. So before you even download data sets, you have to download the survey reports. Then they talk about register for data set access. I don't know how many of you, I know I spoke about it yesterday, but I don't think they would have responded that quickly. So how many of you have been able to register for dataset access, DHS dataset access? Can I see show of hands? How many of you have DHS dataset access? I'm seeing 1, 2. DHS dataset access. 3 people. Okay, if you have the access, so just for those who don't have the access, I'll just go to this page, the page that looks at access, how to register. How can I make this thing disappear? Okay, so it says, yeah, it says new user registration. So you have to first of all, the form doesn't work with mobile devices, so you have to use a desktop or laptop browser. And then you can't use language translation. You must enter all items in English. So to register as a new user, you enter your email address, password, you confirm password, your name, last name, you enter your full organizational name, and then you say whether your organization is a depository, library, government, university. If you're a university, are you student, are you faculty, or NGO? You select your country of residence, include your phone number with country code, and then you can talk about email alert preferences. So you select if you want them to notify you when there's a newsletter or survey sets. Okay, data set. Let me just fill it so that I can show you the next. No, this one, I've used this email address. Let me. Type country. Phone number. Save and continue. So now, what did you say? Phone number appears to be invalid. Okay. Let me write. I don't think I want my phone number. This is not my phone number. You can go and copy it on your own. No? I don't want my phone number in because it's a YouTube. So this is what I wanted you to see. You can see it asks you for your project title. You must have a title. To be able to access the data set, you must have a project title. And you can come up with something simple. This doesn't mean you must have a formal project. Why do you want access to the data set? What are the kind of questions you want to ask? You can just let me say to X project title. Relationship between child health and nutrition. Who researcher's name? Who should I put? Let me put my friend Olakemi. Email here. Then description of the study. You have to say one paragraph must be at least 300 characters, but no more than 2,500. So you have to write something. You say, child nutrition is you. So this is the kind of information you have to fill. And then when you do save and continue, I don't want to register because I already have access. When it goes, then they'll tell you that they'll get back to you, I think within 48 hours or 72 hours. They have a time limit. They'll tell you what the time limit is, and then within that period, they'll get back to you. Now, for those that, so when they do all of that, you'll now be able to log in. You'll be able to log in using your login details. So if I want to log in now, I can do login. My details are already registered, so I just sign in. Now you see that I have two broad projects that I have registered here. This one is targeting child malnutrition and something. This one is overview of double burden of malnutrition. If I open this one now, it will say select country. You see that for this double burden of malnutrition, it's just Nigeria, general, and Nigeria and those states. That is the country. But if I select the other projects that I have there, targeting child undernutrition, what you see is that I have many countries, Benin, Burkina Faso. I think I tried to request for all the African countries that had data at the time I started working on this. And so they granted me access. So that's the other thing I want to point out is the countries you ask for access that they will give you access, and ask such that you get access to all the years for any country. So if I pick Nigeria now, see, it brings up all the Nigeria. So I have access to from 1990 data sets to 2024, the new one. Let's go with 2024. What you see standard DHS, standard DHS. This MIS is malaria indicator survey. Now, if you come to, I clicked on the 2024. One of the first things you see Nigeria 2024 DHS final reports. Please and please, the first thing you do before you start working, I've told you, is download that report, because that report is where you have the questionnaire. The other thing that you need to do is not in on a country sheet, because it's a general report. Is to download the recode manual. That's how the data set was coded. That's one. It's under survey questionnaire. It's under DHS manuals. Yes, DHS questionnaires and manuals. Then I'm looking for recode. So you see that guide to DHS statistics is here. DHS user guides for questionnaires in Excel is here. Survey design for micronutrient status is here. I'm looking for recode manual. It can't be 2020. It has to be somewhere recent. Recode manual was December. Okay, I can't find it. Let's do a search. So you can search DHS recode manual. I can't remember how I searched for it. Let me just copy it for my slides. The link to the manual is on the slides. This is it. It's and you know that I can't remember. I actually did it with them, going to publications and then questionnaires and manuals. I don't know why I can't find it this time around. Now, the most recent recode manual that is here is still showing DHS 7. What that means is that the differences between DHS 7 and 8, they were not significant enough for them to have developed a full manual. You can be rest assured that if they needed to have a new recode manual, maybe there are new variables that were not in 1 year, they will generate a new one. So it means this one has everything you need. So now we've downloaded the reports. Where's the reports? Yes, this is the reports. We've downloaded the reports, and then we've downloaded the recode manual. Because of our time, I'm not going to go through it. Reports, I've told you, start with the questionnaire. Start with the questionnaire, as well as when it opens, I'll show you. There's the first few chapters talk about the survey, how the data was collected, the sampling design that was used, who were questions asked of in the household. Was it the woman? Was it the man? In how many households out of the total did they ask questions from men? Was it all women in the household that were sampled, or one random woman per household? Was it the last born of the woman that data was collected for, or all children that the woman has under 5? All that kind of information is important for sampling design and how weights were generated, and you will find them in the report. So my internet is slow, but we'll come back to it. I want to show you what a recode manual looks like. The beginning also has information about the survey. But when you start going down after the preliminary, what you can see variable description, variable description. What a recode manual tells you is that it tells you every single variable that is in the various data sets that DHS is providing and what was coded there. So you can see this one now, HV102, it says the description of variable is whether the member is a de jure household member. That means the member is a usual resident of the household. 103, whether the member is a de facto household member. That is whether the member slept in the household the previous night, but the person is not a usual resident of the household. The person just slept there the night before the survey, and so the survey captured the person. Now, if you want to do some analysis that maybe require you to look at environmental factors, the influence of environmental factors on particular outcomes. For that kind of analysis, you want to use only the jury household members, because someone that is de facto that just slept there the night before, but the person is not living there normally. If you go and include that person in your sample, then you run the risk that you are introducing measurement error, because you don't know the situation of the environment that person is coming from, person who said the night before. So this is why you have to look at a recode manual to see, first of all, what are the meaning of the variables, and then it also helps you when you are trying to decide which variable do I use. You understand how the variables were coded. Now, if we go to the data set itself, so when you go to, yes, survey data sets, data available, and yes, you go through all these things yourself, see better. When you look at the survey data sets, first of all, you see that there are different file types. So DHS, it provides you with data. There's flats. That flats, I don't understand it. It's a data type for very advanced users. There's SAS, if it's SAS software you're using. There's SPSS, if it's SPSS you're familiar with. And there's this file format that's called hierarchical. Me, I use Stata. So usually when I'm downloading, I can say all Stata. You see, automatically it highlighted Stata for me. Now, the other thing you see is that there are different files. There's birth record, there's couples record, there's field worker questionnaire, pregnancies record, household record, individual record, children's record. So you'll be wondering which one, what is the meaning of all these different files? Because you may download one file and you find out that the file does not have the information you need. So on this left-hand side, you can see there are links to different pages. You can see there's links to understanding survey statistics, data quality and use, data tabulation, survey indicators, tools and manuals, and then online guide to DHS statistics. Then there's another section on working with data sets. Under this section on working with data sets, you can see data set types. That's the one we use. If you come to data set, there's also file formats. That's file format talks about whether it's data, all this one, it explains what they are. So I'll just go on the data set types. So if you go down, you see household data. That's one called household record. This data set has one record for each household. It includes household members roster, but no information from individual women or men questionnaires is present in this file. The unit of analysis in this file is the household. Then you have household listing data, household member record, and you see this one is HR, this one is PR. This data set has one record for every household member. It includes variables like sex, age, education, orphanhood, height and weight measurements, hemoglobin, etc. It also includes characteristics of households where the individual lives or was visiting. The unit of analysis in this file is household member. Now, this one, individual women's data, that's the individual record. This data set has one record for every eligible woman identified by the household schedule. It contains all the data collected in women's questionnaire, plus some variables from the household, up to 20 births in the birth history, and up to 6 children under 5 for womb pregnancy and postnatal care, as well as immunization and health data were collected, can be found in this file. So if you want to do anything regarding women, the file you need is the individual record. You don't need to concern yourself with any other file. Because of our time, I'll just go to the one that concerns interests most people again. After women, children. You see, children's record is KR. This dataset has one record for every child of interviewed women born in the 5 years preceding the survey. Child's pregnancy, postnatal care, immunization, vitamin supplementation, diarrhea, fever, cough, and all of that. So for ease now, okay, somebody should choose for us. Which one should I download to look at? Women or children? Just to let you know, the women's file is heavier than the one for the children. Because yes, the woman has many children. You can say up to 20 pets per woman. So yes, okay, nobody's answering. Let me download the children. So I will go back to the page where we had. Akade, you want to? Okay. Okay. Two people. I want to say, okay, women. Very good. Happiness is saying women. Okay, Dr. Happiness, good evening. Let me, let me download the women. So, no, let me just remove all status so that it'll be fast. So I'm doing IR. See? So under IR, I look at data is the file I have. That's the only software I have. I don't have SPSS on my computer. So I select it and it's just a process selected files for download. While we're waiting for it to download, any questions so far? Click here to download the files you have selected in one zip file. Any questions? You can put your questions in the chat box and I check it as we go. So this is, let me just fix it. NBHS 2024_women. Any questions so far? So what else do I need to show you on these pages? Okay, yes, I've known which files should you download. Okay, start. Okay, so okay, so we're on track. Yes, so still waiting. Done. So first of all, there are many files, so I'll just extract here in new folder. What you see? No, sorry. I hope the wrong one. I hope, okay, NHS 2024. Yeah, what you see? Okay. How do you open the file to access the data? Yes, so you need a software. If you download the SPSS, if you tell it to download the SPSS, you must have SPSS on your computer for it to open. Data on your computer for it to open. If you tell it to download the SAS, you must have SAS software. So you have to choose one of the other ones. I think the flat or hierarchical. If you use R, then small 6 people.
I think our facilitator is having network issue. Let's hang on and wait for her a little. Okay, while we wait for her, please can you continue and see if you'll be able to download the data sets for those that were following her or you have your system in front of you. We sincerely do apologize for this, and we hope that the network gets better. Okay, if you have been able to download the file,
yes.
can you? Okay, she's back.
Sorry.
She's back.
Yeah, so sorry. I don't know. Let me just leave my video off. Yeah, so where was I? Let me share my screen again. Yeah, so I was going to open DHS. I was showing you what happens when we open DHS 8. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So you see now, I'll just focus on 3 files. You see there's this data do file. You see what it contains. It contains commands. This is the data set, and this is a Microsoft document that contains some information. So let me start with the Microsoft Word documents. Hey, internet, please don't be unstable today. We are having internet issues in my area. My broadband is not working. This one is not working. Individual record documentation. The name of the survey, Nigeria work, the universe. That means women 15 to 49 years, men 15 to own the elected. Size of the different files. So you can see this is the individual women record there. It's 9,050 women. So it gives you all just some basic information. It tells you variables unused added. So it just gives you some information. If you then we have the data sets. So let me open it, the hard.
I think Dr. Olutayo's network bandwidth is still low, but let's hang on and wait for her. I think she will soon reconnect.
Hey, sorry, I hope it will stay now. Let me
Welcome
just,
back.
thank you. Okay, yeah, so I was showing you that I tried to open it, but that's the other thing. The women's file is very heavy. So I have to increase the bandwidth of my data. Sorry, set max file. Um, okay, yes, so now I can try to open it. So you see now, my variables have loaded here. Please follow good analysis. I've not saved anything. I've not saved the file, the page I'm working on now. Let me save it up again. So what you have here now are variables. But like I told you yesterday, you can't just start doing analysis. What thing we have here for sure, you can see all the variables. So first of all, before we start analyzing anything, what is our research question that we want to use this data for? I'm not doing analysis. I'm just showing you how to go about finding variables. What is our research question? Someone should give me a research question. Please give me something easy. Anybody who is working on a research question, you want us to do some brainstorming, easy free brainstorming for you. You better put research question now. Nobody has a question. We have just 1 hour left. Any question? Research question. What question should we ask about women that we can now check how women's empowerment on nutritional status of women? Thank you very much, Akiadi. Very good. We're interested in women's empowerment on nutrition status. So let's start. Let me open a new file. First of all, if you are looking at women's empowerment on nutrition status of children. Okay, because of our time, I won't spend too much time asking questions. If you say nutrition status for something is chronic, so that's maybe the one that is most likely to be affected by women's empowerment. So let's pick outcome, child stunting. Exposures. Number one exposure is women's empowerment. What are the other things that can affect child stunting apart from women's empowerment that you need to adjust for? What are the other things? I have education, income. What else? Place of residence. Yes, economic status. Yes, so I can use economic status. Food intake, yes. Okay. Sorry. Intake. Yeah, so economic, so no, let's leave wealth index now, because wealth index is how DHS measures economic status, but you don't know that yet. Environment, Eniola Grace, what do you mean by environment? Okay, we can have environmental factors like yes, I can say environment, water and sanitation. What else? Okay, nutrition, knowledge. What else? Access to health facilities. Okay, for the sake of our time, let's stop here. I think we have quite a number of variables. Let me check this last one. Occupation, thank you very much. So, occupation, that will be whose occupation. So, so now we have these variables. This is our study. We now want to see, can we use DHS to answer these questions? Now, if we are talking about women's empowerment, there's no time to go by, but you remember that when you are doing research, you do literature review. So women's empowerment is a construct. There are different dimensions of women's empowerment. There's no time for us to start doing, we're not doing a full research here, but you have to find, now you look for a framework that explains how women's empowerment is linked to nutrition. So I have a framework, one of my courses, 401, 2005, yes. I have one of the topics I teach for one of my 400 level classes. There's a framework for women's empowerment and nutrition. Yes. So this it doesn't mean if you are doing this study, this framework you have to use, but for ease, you need a framework. So you see, this framework now is telling you that women's empowerment is made up of 4 things: contribution to decision making, control over finances, higher mobility, and less domestic violence. And then under each of those things, you can see contribution to decision making, make decisions regarding own health, ensures better maternal access. Okay, that's how it affects nutrition, but the key thing is make decision about own health. This one, control over finances, whether the woman controls her own finances or husband's finances, higher mobility, freedom of access to market to purchase food, make visit to health center, higher social exchange, that's interactions with people, less domestic violence, leads to improve mental health. So let's just say we are picking these 4 now. You now have to ask yourself, is contribute to decision making, is it in DHS? Control over finances, is it in DHS? Higher mobility, is it in DHS? Less domestic violence. First of all, by the time you study what are the topics, where is our man? I said we should download manual that time, Abi. Our reports. So let me do a report that's actually already in PDF. DHS final reports. I downloaded this one before, so the one that is not PDF is hard to navigate. This one now, if you open bookmarks, first of all, if you go to the survey, so you can see the reports, the forward acknowledgements, steering committee contributors, yes, reading table, SDG, chapter 1, sample objectives, sample design. These are the ones, questionnaires, they're the ones I said you will read. So from the questionnaire, you can see there's knowledge and use of family planning, fertility, antenatal vaccination, marriage and sexual activity, women's work and husband, HIV, malaria, knowledge and attitude related to other health issues, female genital, domestic violence. So already we know that at least there's going to be an appreciable number of the indicators we need. So now, tells you what was in the questionnaire. To go to the actual questionnaire itself is in the annex. If you go down, no, this is still the beginning. For the questionnaire. You see, all these sampling weights, everything is here. Let me do estimation of sampling errors. Where is the questionnaire? Household listing. Questionnaires. So you can look at the questionnaire. You see household schedule. You can, because when you look at the questionnaire, you can find out which questions were collected. But another way you can check which is not as thorough, because at that time I'm doing this method, but it's not as thorough because the chances are high that you're going to miss some variables that are important for you. That our model said decision making. Where is that? Contribute to decision making. You can actually search for decision in the file. So this one, so one of the things you see, so now for the women, let me point this out. Because remember that when we checked the information, when we came to, is it file type? Yes, this one here. It said for individual, it's up to 20 births in the birth history and up to 6 children under age 5 for whom pregnancy and postnatal care, as well as immunization and health data were collected, can be found in this file. So when you look at the women file, one of the things you see this M17A is up to 1 to 6. That means it's collecting information about child 1 to 6 for that woman. Then, so this is where our record manual is very good. If you want to see that M17 one, what is it? You can go in your record manual. You can search inside the record manual. M17A. See, says M17A is timing on decision for cesarean section. Based women who had a cesarean section. But it's not giving me the variable. So because I'm familiar with DHS, I know that there's decision making. Let me check relative. There's one on. It's not decision. It's person who usually decides on visits to family or relative. So if I pick on this indicator now, V743D, I can go back to my record and check V743D. See? It tells me that the data has final say in the family on the following decisions. It says, oh, this one is no longer part, but anyway, you have respondent healthcare, making large household purchases, making household purchases for daily needs, visits to family or relatives, food to be cooked each day, what to do with money husband earns. You also have, it is respondent's opinion that your husband is justified in hitting or beating his wife when she goes out without telling him she neglects children. So this is data on domestic violence. So you can see that from searching here, and actually another way I could have come to check, to search for decision. It's my search in the record manual. See, this one, record manual brought it out. If I search for education in the record manual, it says educational of the partner So this is the husband, that's the child's father's education. I want to check where else is education. This is highest education level attended. First of all, when I'm seeing MV, I have to check which data is MV coming from. MV, I think MV is coming from household. Remember that this record is for all the files, not just only for the women, all the household member, all the children, everything is here. So this one, I won't use this one. It says highest education. It doesn't tell me for who. I think it's for household members. There's the one for the women, the woman herself. So you can, partner, this is for the husband. So essentially, by searching the recode manual too, you can get variables. So with that one of the decision, let me go back to the decision. You can see that by checking, you see, that's why I prefer to search and be V473. By checking on decision, I have variables already on making household purchases, different kinds of variables. So in the past, when I've worked on women's empowerment, what I've done is to generate an index. First of all, generate an index for domestic violence, then generate an index for control over decision making, then generate an index for control over finances. So the variable around whether the woman has any say in money the husband makes. DHS has information about whether the woman has any say in money she makes. Then mobility, freedom of access to market. Some of that you can check it in if the woman can, I think there may be questions, I can't remember. Just checking about that. For control over finances and okay, maybe higher social exchange too that I use that one for. But there's a variable about whether the woman owns land. So there are about 15, 16 or more variables from this data set I'm seeing now. There are more variables in this 2024 than in previous years. You can compile an index together of women's empowerment. Since you are looking at women's empowerment, we want to see which of the dimensions. So you can have one index for women's empowerment that combines all the different domains, or you can have one index for contribute to decision making, another for finance, another for mobility, another for domestic violence, to check which of the variables is associated with your outcome. Then we spoke about using education economic status. By the time you search for income economic status, you find out that DHS only has wealth quintile from poorest to richest, 5 levels. So that's what you can use in your model. Dietary intake. Now, if you search for dietary intake, for child stunting, let me also go. You have to check if you say stunting is height. So let's do height. Let's search for height. You see now, for all this pregnancy, you can see it's for 1 to 6. That means 6 children. Once you see N in front of a variable, that means they did not collect that data. They may collect it in some countries, but for Nigeria, they didn't collect it. That's why there's NA. Then you see child's height in centimeters. For you to know, did they collect? I don't know. If you had if you had taken time to read the manual, you would have found out whether they collected it. I don't know, did they collect height for all the children of the woman under 5 or just one? An easy way to do it is to describe the data. Let me just use some. All the height information, all the variables. So you can see height was collected for multiple children per woman. So if you want to calculate stunting, for instance, now, so you can see this is the, actually, so that's the thing. If you see now, if you want to do stunting in children, if you come to the woman now, what you have is the height for each of the children. So it means this woman has there was no woman that had 6 children under 5. The maximum was a woman that had how do you say 5 children under 5. using the woman now, you are going to face a hard time to answer Akiade's question, because how will you combine? Which method will we use to combine? For this question, since the outcome is actually child stunting, not a woman's outcome, what you need to go and check, the file you need to use for this study, even though you're looking at effect of women's empowerment on nutrition status of children, is the children's recode, not the IR, is the KR you use for this question. Because already, I can't say, with this, is it all the first children I'll take? I will be biasing. Let's download the KR. Oh no, there's no time. I have the file somewhere on my computer. Let me look for it. NG 2024. 2024 DHS KR. If I come here and I type height, what do you notice? Remember that for the woman's file, height is HW3, and then they collected for multiple children. You will see that in the child file, there's only one HW3. So if I do sum HW3, see, 9,844 children. I no longer have the headache of her. How will I combine these data sets? It has already been compiled. Each child has a line, and they would have already done the weights. So in each variable, let me search for weights, sampling weights, sampling. Can see? Yes, primary, no, not sampling, sample weights. Yes, there's women's individual sample weights. And okay, no, sorry, this is the one, this is one for children. So you see, there's individual sample weight, 6 decimals. This is the one we normally use, but check. It says this is ever married sample strata for sampling here. You have to check which weights do I use. It's usually V005 for the sample weight. So this sample weight will account for the fact that it was multiple children per woman that made up this 9,844. All you need to do for this file is to apply the weight when you are doing your analysis. I won't go over how to apply with that statistics. But you see that if you were trying to answer this question with the women's file, it will be difficult, because if you want to collapse this into a children's file by yourself, you will mess up the weights, you will not adjust, and you'll be getting unbiased. So this is why it's very important that if you are doing analysis, you have to identify the right data set for it to use. Now, when we wanted to start, because it was women's empowerment, we started with the women's file. But actually, once we want to do our outcome on stunting, we can see that this woman's file is not going to give us what we need. And there's actually stunting there. Height for age, standard deviation, new WHO. Not stunting, it's height for age. So here now you can see there are 6. If you go to the child's file, you will see that HW70, I mean, what's the variable? HW70, see, just 1. Now, if you say sum, see, it goes to minus 599 to 99.98. What is the meaning of this? You go back to your recode. The variable is HW70. You see why I said you cannot do this thing without knowing it says height for age standard deviation according to WHO, and it tells you HW71, weight for age, it tells all those things. It says the measures above were calculated using the new growth standards, and it describes the growth standard. It says the measures are presented with 2 implied decimal places. No decimal points are included in the data file. To produce the actual measure, divide the variable by 100. If either the weight or height of the child is missing, then all of the above measures are set to missing code 9999 or 99999. If either the height or weight is outside of acceptable range for the calculation of these measures, then all of the above measures are set to 9998 or 99998. When we described the variable, we saw that it's up to 99998. First of all, let's do generate HAZ equals, I'm just showing you an example of working with one variable. You can imagine how long it will take you to prepare all the variables. All those I say, we could have 16 variables into something for women's empowerment. You can see that it takes time to do good research. Now, it tells me 18,260 missing values generated. What this means is that height data was not collected for all the children. If you had read this thing that you're supposed to read, the one that because of our time, I haven't worked with this 2000 and this thing before, so I don't know. See, if you come to sample design, in the sample, it will tell you second stage, all women who were either usual members. It will tell, okay, this is biomarker height for households with men's interview. 14,000 households were the ones that were targeted for height for age, height for weight for children, but other things were collected on. So households, 28,000 households, no man's interview, 14,000 households, man's interview. And it's from this man's interview that I have the ones that biomarkers were collected. If you look there, it will tell you which children they were collected for, so that you will be able to see why just okay, in fact, it's 9,523 that have data for this height for HZ score. Now, if you still describe this HAZ that we calculated, see, it hasn't changed. It's the same number as the AW70, but now it's showing 5.99 to 99.98. Because the HS already told us that if it's 99.98, it means that the values were not plausible. It means we have to exclude these children. So we can set this to missing. Say, replace HAZ equals missing if HAZ equals 99.98 or HAZ equals 99.99. There's no 99 there, but I just want to HAZ equals invalid name. Oh, sorry. 2, 3 equals to here. 0 changes made. Why is that? I'm coming. So this is another thing. You have to do normal HAZ equals missing if HAZ greater than 90. 113. So you can see now, the maximum is now 5.88 because I've removed everything greater than 90. I know that the plausible values is once a child has HAZ greater than 6, automatically that child is set to this 99.98 because minus 6 to 6 is the range of values that are, of Z-score values that are considered to be plausible. So this 113 now, you can do tab HAZ if HAZ is greater than 90 to see. Oh no, I can't do HAZ again. See, I've already replaced it. HW70 if HW70 is greater than, in this case, to be so you can see, in fact, it's saying flagged cases 113. That means all of the 113 that were excluded here were those that were flagged as 99.98. So it's not that I've deleted or set to missing any real value. Now, I'm just showing you an example of how you can, this is statistics data analysis, is outside of the scope. But the point is you have to identify, first of all, the right data sets to download. Are you downloading for the women? Are you downloading for the men? Are you downloading for the child? And you can see that sometimes it's an iterative process. I didn't think about it when we said, oh, we are doing women's empowerment and stunting, and we downloaded women. But once I started to work on my outcome variable, the stunting, I realized that no, this women's one will give me problem, because how will I change all the line of 6 children into one line? And so I went to the child file, and it doesn't have any issues because they've already done the whatever they need to do to make sure that each child is on one line. So I can just use that file straight. Now, if you are worried about the women's empowerment, for children, DHS too, they know the variables that people can need. You find out that V743, you can see that all the women's empowerment thing that we were looking at in the women's file is also in the child's file. So you don't have any issues. And if you need to merge, you can go and get file. There's a way the DHS has information about merging. You can read about how to merge, extract information from the mother's file to go and put it in the child's file. Hey, the domestic violence, I was looking at V774. If you search the child file, you see all the V774. Beating justified if wife goes out, everything is also in the child's file. So you don't have to, once you identify the right file to use for your analysis, the chances are high that all the variables you need will already be in that file. In the exceptional cases where it's not, then you have to merge. So maybe there's some things in the women's file that is not in the child's file, and I need it for my analysis. I will have to merge I'll first of all create a data set from the woman's file where I keep only the variables I need, and then I'll merge it to the children's file so that the file about the mothers will be merged to the one for the children. But in most cases, it's not necessary because DHS, to a reasonable extent, they know what people will want to add, and they would have already added it in the child's file. So once you identify the right file that has the variables you are looking for, you are good to go. The key thing will now be spending time to find out which variable can I use. I showed you how I have a framework of women's empowerment that is informing me the kind of variables I need to look for in my data sets so that I will generate it. Now, before I start doing any analysis, you see now I'm not doing any regression, I'm not doing anything. I will first of all generate a full file. All my women's empowerment variable I will generate. Where is our variable list? Education I will generate. There's education in years in DHS. There's education based on attainment. No education, primary education, secondary, tertiary. Is there for the woman, is there for her partner, whether she's married to the partner or not, is there. There's place of residence, rural or urban, geopolitical zone for Nigeria is there. Environment, water and sanitation, yes, there's water there. But you will see, where's that child file? If I search for water, so you see source of drinking water. Let me just describe this variable. You see, it says pipe into dwelling, this one, this one, this one. Now, the standard way, if you are going to do analysis, is that you check, you use what we call drinking water ladder. Is it basic drinking water? Is it unimproved? Is it surface water or safely managed water services? You have to check, do I have enough variable to calculate? If you want to calculate drinking water ladder now, you need the time to the water source, you need the source of the water source. And if you are going to be able to do safely managed drinking water, you need to know whether the water quality was tested and there's no fecal matter. Otherwise, you can only stop at maybe basic water level. For your analysis, you can't just use, you say environment, you want to use water, you now just use all these piped into dwelling. No, you have to convert this. This is just a variable. You have to convert it into the indicator. The indicator is drinking water source. Is it surface water, unimproved, or basic drinking water service? Or you can say basic drinking water or non-basic drinking water service, 0 or 1. You have to decide based on theory, based on what other researchers have done, how are you going to generate that water variable? The sanitation variable, how are you going to generate it? All of these things you generate first before you now start doing your, and you, I said yesterday, the different steps that you have and the analysis plan of how you're going to generate all of these things before you now start the nitty-gritty of any further thing. If you want to add dietary intake, the challenge with dietary intake is, unless it has changed, as far as I know, dietary intake is collected only for children 0 to 2 years old. So if you're looking at child stunting that's 0 to 5, once you add this dietary intake in your model, automatically you reduce your model to 0 to 24 months children only. So that means, and this is what I was saying about yesterday, that based on the available data, adjusting your research question. So do you now want to change your question to women's empowerment or nutrition status of children less than 2 years old? If you still want to do children under 5, then it means you can't add dietary intake in your model because the data set does not allow you to do that. It doesn't collect dietary intake for children 2 to 5 years old, only 0 to 2 years old. So based on the available data, you have to decide. Not that you will go and do the analysis first and say, this one is giving me better results, so I'll choose this one. No, that's bad research. Before you start generating any results, you have to decide a priori, what am I going to go with? What makes the most sense for women's empowerment? Is it younger children or all children under 5? And then I add it as a limitation that I did all children under 5, which meant that based on the limitations of the data available, I could not add dietary intake into the model. But with this thing, with DHS 2024, there's food security. So maybe I cannot add dietary intake, but I can do food security for all children under 5. You make these kinds of decisions before you now run your analysis. Make sure that, okay, for each of these things, I have the variable I'm going to use. Nutrition knowledge, they have knowledge about various health issues and they have HIV. Look at it. Which nutrition knowledge variable are you going to use? Are you going to create an index out of several nutrition knowledge variables? Those are decisions you make. Once you now do that, you can now start running your analysis, your descriptive statistics, and your inferential statistics. I will stop there. I don't know if the whole goal of this session, we're never going to cover a lot, but at least to let you see what the data set looks like, so that you see that, okay, this thing is data that is here. Yes, you have to transform it, but it is not something that should scare you. It's something within your reach that you can work with. But it takes time. The first time I started analyzing DHS data sets in 2009. So if you are feeling that, I know where this one is, that one is, I've been working on DHS data sets for a long time. If you go to LSMS now and I want to spend at least 15 minutes doing LSMS, you see that I'm not as comfortable with LSMS because I only started working with LSMS maybe 3 years ago. So 2021, 2022 is when I started working with that one. But I've read different documentation and all that, so I've started to improve. That's how you improve, by reading documentation and giving yourself, being kind to yourself and being patient with yourself. You know that this thing, I'm just learning it too. And like I said, collaborate. Even if you are collecting primary data, at least you don't do it alone. You see, if this is the V106, this is for the woman herself, highest education level. I think is, let me do V, I think it's 701 for the husband. Yes. See, this for the husbands as partners education level. You can see here there are 27,700 and something women. But once you add partners, it's 26,405, because not all the women are married or have partners. You can see some, they don't even know the education level of the partner. So these are some of the things you have to decide. If you had the husband's education level, it's going to reduce your sample size. We talked about missing variables and things you have to deal with. But you can see it's already here. If you wanted to use women's education in single years, let's search for education. You can see V133, education in single years, is there. The husband too, partner's total number of years of education, is also there. Depending on the theory you are working with and how you want your model to do. Like I said, it's not that you try one and say, this one is not working very well. No, first of all, try to decide what you want to do before you start doing the analysis. Have I lost you people? Any questions? I know it's a lot to take in. Any questions?
Excuse me, ma.
Yes.
I can't hear you. Or is it from my network?
Can other people hear me?
We can hear you, ma.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so any questions or you are lost? I'm sorry I didn't even check before we got to this point. So yes, you have to, yes, like I said, take your time. It's something we didn't have time to go through the recode manual, but those are things you need to do to understand go through the recode manual, go through the survey design, all those steps that we've talked about, go through it, and then that will help you to be able to run your analysis. Okay, so let me quickly go to the LSMS before we conclude for the day. That one, some things is easier than DHS, and some things is not as easy. So you get LSMS from the World Bank data website. So let me just do. Okay. Okay, so yes, Adiola, the recording will be on the NDDI YouTube channel for you to watch. You can also sign up. So DHS has some online courses that you can take that will help you to navigate it. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that before. If you go to the DHS website, there are resources. I just showed you the user forum, but apart from the user forum, there are other resources. There are other resources. Where is you see, they even have a fellows program you can apply for. They have topics. If you do nutrition, so there are resources you can use. Okay, so with World Bank, please, is login that is here now. If you've not registered, please register first. The reason why I'm not, because of our time, I'm not going through that registration. It's the same here. You can see I clicked on login. If you are not registered, it's showing you register. So I'll just log in, because if I looked for what I'm looking for, it will still take me back to the login. So let me just log in first. So now you can look feature collections. I'm looking for living standard measurement survey. You can see the other things, global financial inclusion, this one. Again, you can do different countries if you want, but for this one, I'm just looking at Nigeria. So I come here, type Nigeria. It tells me there are 22 data sets. And then I'm looking for general household survey panel 2023 to 2024. Now, this is why I said in some ways, LSMS is easier. Because with LSMS, once you go on that page, see, is this tab you should look at. See, there's study description, data description, documentation, and then get microdata. So you start with study description. See, it tells you the title, the subtitle, abbreviation, country, series information. It tells you about the series. It gives you an abstract of when the data was collected in past, when it's collected now. Unit of analysis, household, individual, agricultural post communities. It tells you the scope. So like DHS, when you are downloading PDF and looking for LSMS, right from the web page, you can see different things. The scope. This is what was collected at household level. This is what was collected for agriculture. This is what was collected at community level, food prices, labor, land prices, and credits. And it covered national, all the jury household, excluding prisons, hospitals, and then gives you sampling. It tells you sampling. Response rate, weighting is there. It tells you which weights you need to use for different things. It tells you how the weights were calculated. So all of that, survey instruments, it talks to you about the survey. You can see that there's no way here to download anything. This is just that first information to understand what was done for the survey. That's the first tab. When you now come to data description, it now starts telling you data file. You see all these data files you can see on the left hand. Those are the data files. Unlike the DHS that is the one for children, the one for women. That's the disadvantage of LSMS. LSMS gives you data files according to the sections of the questionnaire. So this one, you're just looking at it here. So it tells you how many cases, the number of variables in that file. Then it tells you documentation is the next tab. Is under documentation, you can see. I told you the data is 2, post-harvest and post-planting. This is the household questionnaire for post-planting. This is the agricultural questionnaire for post-planting. Community questionnaire for post-planting. Then it tells you the same for household. So here you can download it. Because of our time, let me go to my LSMS folder. LSMS. So all of these things I'm showing you, I downloaded it from these pages. I downloaded one by one. So this is the, let me do post-harvest. This is the post-harvest questionnaire. So with post-harvest questionnaire, with post-harvest questionnaire, you can see, so first of all, just come to the, it says section, household roster, education, 2, that's 2, 2B, childcare, subjective skills, this one. If you go back to that page where you have data description, you can see section A, this is post-planting. Let me look for harvests. This is where harvest starts from. Section A for harvests. That's the questionnaire I opened, Abi. If you move down to the section, you can see section A, household section cover. That's the one that corresponds to household roster in this one. Then you see section 1, no, this one, household section includes household identifiers, enumerator, and supervisor. Okay, so it's not the questionnaire. Section 1, you see household roster. Section 2, education. Section 2B, 2C. So with LSMS, what you have is you have your questionnaire, and then you have a file, a data file for every single section. You see there will be women dietary diversity, section 3D. You see, there's 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D. The files correspond with what is in the questionnaire. Now, the challenge is if you want to do with LSMS, you cannot escape merging. You can't. Because if you want to check relationship between, let's say, dietary diversity now, and effect of education on dietary diversity, you can see education is section 2. Dietary diversity is section 3D. So you have to take your, and the data format, it can be long, it can be wide, all those ones of statistics, how to organize your data before merging, you have to attention to it. But it's easy because you just know that, okay, if I'm looking for all the, and by the time you open the files too, just like the questions are, that is question 1, question 2, the variable is organized such that you can directly link the variable in the data set to the question number in the questionnaire. That in DHS is not like that, but this one is like that. So for that one, It's one of the ways in which it is the analysis. So you have the full list. It's also under data description. The documentation also has the reports. So I just show you questionnaires. If you come to reports, see summary of key findings, tracking households over time, early childhood, dietary diversity. So it's based on, they have several sections of the report, of the survey that they reported on. Then you can see technical documents, supervisor manual, interviewer manual. If you want to see what instructions were used to collect the data, all of it you can see under documentation. There's another file. There's a file with, it's usually DDI. To be somewhere here. That file, let me show you here in my own folder. Yes, DDI documentation for the survey. So in the DDI documentation, you see also it has the scope of the survey. So many of these things that are here, that they are in this is like the recode manual for DHS. See, all of these things that are on that page, they're also in this DDI documentation. And then it goes on, it's a short document, just 25 pages, to help you see what is in the data set. Then if you come back here, let me just show you the get microdata. Under the microdata, you see, it tells you data in SPSS, data in data format. If you expand it, it's just one. If you download it, what you get is you get a zipped folder that includes data. And in the data, you see there's post-harvest, wave, and post-planting. You get zipped folders too, so I unzipped it. That's why I have post-harvest, post-planting. If you open it, you see you have the folder for the agriculture questionnaire. You have the one for community. And then the questionnaire I open, remember, the questionnaire I open is households. The same principle applies for the other. So you can see section 1 and section 2, 2B. The section A that has the weight and other thing is usually at the bottom. So you see section A here. So these are the data sets for all my variables. Let me open that dietary diversity 3D. You'll see all the household code, individual code. You see, did you eat any of the following rice? All the food groups are there. You see, all the data is there. Is just related to dietary diversity. And you can see section 3, diet quality 1, section 3, diet quality 2. If you go back to your questionnaire and you go to section 3D, you see? So this is section 3D, diet quality. So this one is just like, his name answering for herself is here, filter. His name, this one, his name answering for herself. See, S3 DQ0. That's the 0 here. Then you have the 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, the ending, that's the way it is in the questionnaire. That's how it is in the data sets. So it makes it very easy to know, did they collect this data where it is? With LSMS is a lot easier than DHS. But like I said, you can see now that this file, there's no education, there's no age, there's nothing. It's only the woman's diet quality. You now have to use all these variables to merge it to the one that has education. If you want to do occupation, after you merge it to the one that has education, you merge the education and diet quality, you merge it to the one with occupation. You keep merging like that. You may have to merge 20 files together before you compile all the variables you need for the analysis you want to do. That's the way the LSMS data is provided. So you have to sort of like create your data. It's similar to DHS where you calculate your indicators, but with LSMS, if I want to do women's MDDW now, I can generate the MDDW here, but I can't link it to anything here because all the variables are not here. So I will go Education, generate whatever I need. This one, assets, generates wealth index. This one generates everything. I'll now start merging it together, merging it to create the data sets that I want to use for my analysis. So that's the major difference. But again, the documentation is there. How do you make data sets? That one is data analysis, which is outside the scope of our session today. But I hope that at least this session has been able to demystify these surveys a little for you, that you have more confidence. Yeah, you can see now, you do it any of this. You see the questionnaire, you see the data, very straightforward something. And then you can, but remember again, it's not like DHS, you have your research question before you start this, deciding which data sets am I using. Any questions? Any questions? There are no questions on the chats. Any questions? We have just a few more minutes, about 6 more minutes. Any questions? How this session has been? This one, I feel like I've lost people today. I'm sorry, I don't know how I could have made it easier in a short time. I was just trying to say, okay, people should just get a sense, a feel that this thing is doable. And of course, you can always go back to watch the video. There are resources you can access both on LSMS website and DHS websites. You can Google, you can search on YouTube for these videos of analysis with these data sets. Many people use it. You can see DHS has a user community. I'm not sure that LSMS has one, but many people use data that if you Google, you are sure to find some of the supports you need to be able to answer any challenges you may face. So I hand over back to Chinaza. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For you to successfully navigate through DHS and LSMS, it is of importance you download the dataset manual. This is because the Recode manual will help you navigate through or get the variables that will answer your questions and lead you to your expected outcome. Dr. Olutayo Adeyemi, thank you for this amazing session. Wow. If you know you enjoyed this session just like I did, can you appreciate our facilitator with your best emoji? Okay. At this point, we would like to assess your current knowledge of the topic, secondary data source in nutrition research. There is a pool available. It's available for you to fill. Remember when we started yesterday, we did a pre-test, and I went further to explain that the pre-test is an anonymous one. We will not show your name, neither are we going to score you. It's just for us to know the impact of this webinar. Please, we ask that all our participants help us fill this form. Thank you. I'm seeing that we are responding. Please keep filling the form. Okay, as we fill the form, can you remember that our facilitator said something about saving the page you are working on? Whether you're using Stata, then for SPSS, ensure you save your outputs. This will help you whenever you go back to look at what you actually did to arrive at your results. If you remember, could you help us fill the feedback form? Also check the chat box. We're going to be dropping the link now. Kindly help us fill this feedback form. Tell us how impactful this webinar was. Tell us if you're actually getting value for your time. I think the link is available now. Adeola, the link is available now. Okay, as we fill the feedback form, also note that the replay for this webinar will be available on our YouTube page at NDDI Africa. In case you wish to go back to this session, of course, I know you will, because I myself will go back. Please, if you have filled the feedback form, could you indicate by raising your hands? And if you also completed the post test, can you drop your favorite emoji? Okay, this concludes our two-day webinar on leveraging secondary data to elevate the quality of our scholarly outputs. But before we go, we want you to stay up to date with our events, as we have exciting lineup of webinars in the coming months. You would not want to miss any of this, I bet you. Please subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on our social media handle. On LinkedIn, you have NDDI Africa. On YouTube, you have NDDI Africa. Then you can also check our website at nddiafrica.org to get more information. Thank you, Confidence. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Oguniyi. Jonathan, thank you. Anthony, thank you. Colenus, thank you. Zamaka Cherish, thank you to everyone that have filled the feedback form and have also filled the post-test questionnaire too. Norma, thank you. Olabode, thank you. Adiola, thank you. I want to agree that every one of us have done the 2 assignments. Thank you, Oluwatosin. Okay. We are 3 minutes after our closure time. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. At this point, I think we will have to end this webinar. We cannot just end without saying a very big thank you to our own Dr. Olutayo Adeyemi. It was really an amazing session, Ma. And we look forward to going back to do the replay at any point we get stuck. And to our beautiful participants, we say thank you for joining this webinar. From all of us at NDDI, it is a good evening. Bye for now.
Well done, Chinasa. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you, Mark. Good night.